not go up? There we go. I'm an expert. Second and last beer to do tonight for review. Another one from Tatamagouche. Like I said, this is part of their big bottle series or whatever the fuck they say it is. Big beer series, right? Big beer series, I think. This is their Square One Dry Hop Saison at 6.1% alcohol by volume. We shall go over to the... No, I don't want to prevent... Slide? What? Share screen. What am I doing? Let's go. All right, so here it is. 6.1%. $10 for these bottles. So, okay. That's not bad. So they said their first foray into mixed fermentation, New World Saison blend, which is a blend of two different like Belgian wild yeasts, I guess, is kind of what they're doing here from Escarpment Labs. And it's dry hopped with Citra, Amarillo, and Hallertau Blanc. The Hallertau Blanc it's mostly like an aroma hop. Kind of gives you like grapey white wine kind of notes is kind of where that comes from. Amarillo kind of gives you the full gambit of fruitiness. Gives you a little bit of citrus, a little bit of floral, a little bit of melon. That's kind of what Amarillo does. Usually it's more orange than grapefruit. It's kind of where that one sits. The Citra. Silver medal winner, the 2020 Canadian Brewing Awards, water malt, hops, yeast, oats, spelt, and rye. So they got a bunch of different stuff going on in here. They're trying to go, Saison, whatever you have on hand, you put in it kind of idea. I'm sure there was more thought into the construction of this one. It's not like the old days where you had a farmhouse ale or whatever, made from whatever you were growing on your farm. And of course, the alcohol here is definitely higher than what a traditional Saison / farmhouse beer would have been back in Belgium and places like that when the water was not trustworthy for drinking. So here we go. We're going to pour this. See what we think. It's kind of a brilliant golden yellow color. A lot of head. I expected it to be a little more active too on the head. So honestly, color's just slightly more pale than what you're seeing on camera here. It's hazy as hell. That's to be expected. So go right to aroma. Definitely a little bit of a citrusy note there, kind of orange. But I'm definitely predominantly getting like a white grape kind of thing, or green grape is what you'd say. I'm just thinking, grapes that are used more for white wine, the lighter colored grapes, and a very, very strong, very pronounced, like just general vegetal kind of smell, like smelling right out of a garden kind of idea. Very fresh vegetal smell and a little bit of a funk, like that wild yeast. A little bit of that's coming up. It smells intensely fresh. Like, again, I can't get past that vegetal smell. It's like walking into like a flower shop. That underneath that green stem kind of smell, not the actual smell from like the bloom of the flowers or whatever. It's more that green, very green stem kind of smell. Like it almost gets herbal. It smells very good. Very, very good for Saison. Um, cheers. We'll go to the taste. Mm, that's very refreshing. Picking out the individual flavors is a little bit more difficult. This is like really well blended together. Um, I am getting notes of like a little bit of citrus here and there, a little bit of a white wine kind of character to it, like a leafy, greeny kind of, orchard fruit kind of white wine kind of thing. Um, that's also in the background. Then there's just like this general funkiness, but it's not like a super intense funkiness. It's not, Belgian horse blanket, that classic term used. It's not quite that far. It's kind of like Orval Junior. If you had Orval, which is more horse blankety, more funky, more like horse blanket, cheesy funk kind of smell, kind of taste. This is like very much in the same range, but like at the other end of the spectrum. This is much more complex in a way where it's got so many more notes going on. Like Orval's got some notes going on. Don't get me wrong, but that one's more of a big couple note punch kind of beer. Where this is like a really like amazing modern, like we're really blending all these flavors together and you're kind of getting a little taste of all of them. And like I said, none of them like jump out super pronounced. Like if anything's more pronounced than anything else, it's probably that light funkiness. That's probably the biggest characteristic of this one. But then everything else is there. The hops are there, giving you those fruity flavors, giving you those wine flavors. The body is kind of like upper light body because you got that oats, you got that svelte in there. Like it gives you a sense of more going on grain wise in this. Kind of tricks your senses. It's not necessarily super thick or anything like that. It just kind of makes you think it is, especially because there's also pretty good carbonation in this. So you do like get a little burpy and stuff too, and that can sometimes add to mouthfeel and or at least perception of mouthfeel. And finish is coming out with a little bit more funk and just like a general citric character that's kind of drying out, like a dry citric kind of note. And that funk is a little bit around it. And this is really good. It's a really tasty Saison. Super easy drinking, super refreshing. 6.1% seems like it's excessive for this, but at the same time, that alcohol generally, unless you've like really pounded the hops to it and shit, that alcohol is going to help bring out flavor a little bit. And I feel like that's kind of what that's doing here. I like this a lot. Saison is not necessarily my super favorite beer, but like I kind of low key enjoy all the sort of stuff that's kind of in the Saison kind of family, like the farmhouse ale, the patter beer, the Orval, fucking all those sort of things, like all on that little spectrum of like farmhouse, Saison, semi funky, wild ale kind of shit. I kind of like all that stuff, especially when it's done really well like this, where it's not super sour or anything like that. It's like it's just got these really interesting drinkable beers with really nice, pleasant notes to them. Often good food pairing beers. Like for instance, the Patter beer is definitely one, and also that one is used as traditionally in like Trappist monasteries, used as nutrient supplement for when they're fasting and stuff. They're maybe having bread or something, and they'll have that with the beer, get a little bit more nutrients. And those beers are usually like what, 2 to 3%, something like that. And again, like I say, traditional saisons usually not much higher than that at the very most. And even this one here at 6.1%, it still drinks fairly light and fairly refreshing. It still feels within that range. And I like it. I think it's a pretty good example of the style. I think, again, Tatamagouche seems like almost, 9 times out of 10, I say they kind of knocked it out of the park, and they do it with this one too. And they say New World Saison, so it's not like they're sitting here pretending traditional Saison from when the farmers of Belgium had to, took their breaks and stuff, and had to drink the 2.3% beers or whatever the fuck. No, this is using that kind of concept, but making a modern beer with it. And yeah, I think they did a good job. So the Square One Saison from Tatamagouche Brewing, I'm going to give that an 8.5 for style. I think this is pretty goddamn good. It does a really interesting and thorough job of like blending different notes in a very satisfying way. So that's why it's a little bit more than just like, oh, this is just like a perfectly rock solid example of the style, but doesn't do anything different. Now this does it a little bit different. My own personal preference, I'm going to throw a 9 at it. I like it a lot. I think it's a really good beer. I think it's one of their better beers, honestly. And this is coming from a guy who thinks that most of the beers in their breweries are pretty fucking good to start with. So, but this is a really well-constructed version of a very specific kind of style these days. So good for them. So, yeah, I'm going to go. I've got like another one of these to drink tonight, and yeah, my night is set. I hope you guys are all having a good day, night, whatever, whenever you're watching this. And we got CB Fallen here. Great review indeed, Lee. You're on a roll of these reviews lately. Well, thank you very much. I'm enjoying doing them as of late. Getting these doing these beer orders through the mail from Tatamagouche has exposed me to a lot of stuff I couldn't get usually at my local place. So it's been exciting to be able to finally dip into these beers that I otherwise would have never had a chance to have. So thank you. And I hope everyone else who's watched is getting the same enjoyment out of these reviews that CB Fall was getting. And bid you farewell until next time, whenever we do more reviews. Who knows? I might do another Tatamagouche beer order this week. I did notice there was a couple other things on the website there. There was something new. And there was a couple things I haven't covered yet. So I might do another one. Who knows? We'll see. Oh, we got Movie Melt Podcast. I love you. Well, I love you too, Matt. You're a great guy. Good family man. Run a pretty decent podcast too when you can get your soundboard to work. CB Fall. See you next time. Yeah, see you next time, sir. All right, guys. Bye-bye. We're ending the stream.